What is up, guys? DT Ninja here because my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 59 review. Alright, guys, the last chapter we got the backstory of Itakura Byakuya and how he learned his ice ability. Now we get the action-packed chapter. Itakura fighting Sojiro and Kenshin continues. Basically, they're basically staring down each other, and Itakura is flying right at him, dashing towards them. He says, "My fighting spirit, the solid block of ice, has shown me no power, no blade, no gun, nothing can penetrate Fudo Todo." Basically, he says he's invincible. He's basically dashing at Sojiro and Kenshin. We see Kenshin and Sojiro try to avoid them. It looks like he was able to get out of the way, stepping aside from his attack. And then, of course, Kenshin's like, "An ice ability? That's absurd." And then Sojiro goes on to say, but Himura-san, my blade was basically cold after the Shuten Satsu, and I felt it. And then, of course, he says, not only my attack, but your attack as well. It did no damage. So going back here, you can actually see his shoulder is actually bleeding from that attack. So he actually was able to swipe them. He cut them just by using his hand, which is crazy. You know, it's a weapon. And he was able to damage them. So he wasn't able to avoid it. This is interesting. Itakura is deceptively quick. He is very quick for a big guy. I mean, this is Sojiro Seita and Kenshin Himura. These are two of the fastest men in Kenshin. I mean, they should have been able to dodge it, but Itakura was still able to strike them and cause damage. Then we see Itakura sliding after the attack. He still has the blade in his mouth, which is just kind of his signature. He likes to do that for like defense. I think it's defense. Anyway, the next page, we see him use Sekiriki. And again, Sekiriki is something that I mentioned in the last chapter. I think this is key to his ability. It's very key because remember, he went into like a coma and he used Sekiriki to survive. So I think this amplifies his strength, his endurance, everything. So right as he uses it, you see this. You see Kenshin and Sojiro put their blades together and basically attack them at the same time. This is awesome. Kenshin, very awesome visual here of Kenshin and Sojiro attacking Itakura. But as you can see, Itakura takes it. He allows them to attack straight in the chest. You can see him still with the blade in his mouth. But look, they struck him right in the chest. And right then and there, the ice comes out. The blades are starting to get cold. And it doesn't do the damage as it normally would. So again, Sekiriki definitely is part of that. And then the next moment, you see his hands just come out of nowhere and swipe them. You see the hands. We have Kenshin and Sojiro looking on in shock as Itakura uses his hands and swipes them right across the chest and also hits their shoulder, it looks like, and then just rushes right into them, slams them right into them. I think he actually hits them above. You can actually see the intensity here. He actually hits them and they go flying up in the air. So he is a huge guy, so I could understand how they could go flying. But I also think that these right here, this kind of wrist, this bracelet that he's wearing right here, this gold bracelet or something that he's wearing, I think this is actually a weapon. I think it's actually used to amplify his fist. In fact, we saw Saito use the Gatotsu. And when he grabbed the Gatotsu, underneath was this. In fact, the design was different at that time. The author changed the design to more of just a basic kind of bracelet look. But now it is a way to deceive opponents. So not only did he use it there, but he used it against Kenshin when he fought him, when he was fighting right at Gordiokaku. He like slammed his fist right into the water. And anyway, he can't fight him close range because of that. I do think this is one of the reasons. This has some pressure built into it that amplifies his muscles. So it basically gives him more strength. But yeah, one thing I wanted to show you is the design. The design used to look different, as I said. In Chapter 8, we see him sitting down. So I actually have the color scan of this so you can see it. And when you look at him, you just look at his wrist. You'll see the design looks different than this one. It looks longer and almost like a spring across his wrist. So I want you to take a look at that. It is very interesting, and I do think there is something else going on, although he did knock them in the air, and he is a huge guy, so I can believe that they did go flying, but at the same time, there's something else going on, because when Kenshin hit Itakura point blank with Kuzuryu-sen, Kenshin was the one being pushed back, not Itakura. So there's definitely something there with that item that he wears. Anyway, let's move on. So we got Itakura looking on. He looks on the other side of the hill. We see some shadows here, and it's Doi basically dashing at Sano and Anji. They all get ready to attack. We see Doi jumps up in the air right as Anji slams his blade into the ground. Futai no Kiwami, Rikushin, which is the shockwave Futai no Kiwami with his blade. Doi, you can see the beads wrapping around. This is very key. Those beads definitely protect her. You can see it on her legs. You can see she uses it on her fists and her arms. So I do think those are very key to her ability. In fact, you can see even in her punches, she holds the beads as she smashes his chin. And then as Sano jumps up in the air and has a great shot at her, you can see she uses the beads again, but this time she basically disarms Sano so he can't use his punch, and then she kicks him. So again, she uses the beads just like that. She says it's useless. You guys cannot kill me. You can't even fathom of doing it because you guys, you care too much about women and children. So now we see this sword suddenly show up. Doi looks with shock and throws her beads towards whatever it is. Suddenly, she can't move, and we see Nagakura swing his sword right into the beads, and she is caught, and she cannot move at all. She's basically paused. And so Nagakura uses his brilliant strategy here and exposes Doi and those beads and their weakness. This is something that I said in chapter 53, that I thought the beads could also be a weakness, not only a strength of hers. So yeah, I love seeing Nagakura basically make her stand still. This was just an awesome way to show Nagakura's brilliance, not only as a strategist, but as a swordsman, and just exposing these fighters. So it's just awesome. And then Nagakura goes on to say, well, he's a good-natured person and a kind-hearted brother to begin with. So he's talking about Sano and Anji. They're not cut out for killing others. So he's basically saying they're not meant for killing people, but I am. So yeah, that was a really cool scene. And of course, just revealing himself to Sano and Anji. Doi realizes it's one of Mibu's wolves, so she's worried. And then Itakura looks back. You can see this is where the fight has basically stalled. Itakura looks on the other side of the hill, and you see Cho and someone standing there with Gongu in the distance. Gongu looks on with the blade and his gun pointed right at Cho. The first thing I want to point out is Cho's blade. The first one was Sanjinto, which was the scattered blades. It was one that he pulled from the back, the sheath on his back. He pulled that. So there's one sword left. He still has the Hakuji no Tachi, but there's still one sword. Is that a normal sword or is that a special sword too? This is Cho the Sword Hunter. So, this could be something later on in the fight. So Kamatari has been revealed. He is alive. We see he's bleeding, so we know he's injured. We don't know how much, but at least we know he's alive now. It looks like Cho is in serious trouble here. He basically says, Gongu is like, you're too green to be a real villain, Cho-chan. And then this is where Kamatari yells out for Cho right as he blasts that gun right at him. But at the last second, yes, Ashitaro shows up and reveals and unsheathes the Mugenjin. You see the blades, the flames of the Homuradama, and of course the bullet has been stopped by the Mugenjin. So this was a really awesome way to end the chapter. Ashitaro shows off the Mugenjin, and then at the very end we see Itakura's face light up in surprise and seems intrigued. One thing I want to say is notice his eyes, how they widen a little bit. Maybe he saw his fighting spirit for a split second. We see him surrounded in the flames, so we know his fighting spirit is going to have to do with flames. But yeah, what do you guys think about this chapter? I enjoyed it. It was a short one, but we got some great action. We got some beautiful visuals. Nagakura was an awesome add in there. Ashitaro, these are the rear guards coming in to save the day. And obviously Sojiro and Kenshin, their double attack. But even Itakura, just his overwhelming power. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Chapter 60 will be coming next week. So we got one more chapter until we're fully caught up on our reviews. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I want to make one prediction here. Because the next chapter is not really about fighting, sadly. But it is a very good chapter. It is an informative chapter. But since that is the case, Ashitaro is going to be fighting in a battle soon. And he's going to be fighting, I believe, Gongu, the one with the gun blade. Because, one, both of these are supposedly Shaku Arai's last deadly swords. One has never been revealed and was just in the plans, and the other one was Shishio's sword. Now, I do feel this is a fight because the author does seem to want to connect them together. For example, Anji is a fallen monk. Doi is somewhat of a monk as well. She is definitely Buddhist. So they connect them in that way. But also, we're going to get Ashitaro and Itakura because he's ice and he's fire. So, I mean, you're going to get some really good stuff here. And what I think is going to happen, sadly, my prediction, you heard it first here. I think Kamatari's going to die. And I also think Cho is going to die. I think both of the Jupongatana are going to die. They're going to sacrifice themselves and protect the kid. We're going to get some kind of special backstory, maybe not a backstory, but we're going to get some scene of learning about Ashitaro through Shishio at some point. And then I think Ashitaro's going to lose his mind. He's going to lose his mind. He's going to start killing people. He's going to go berserk. And that's when Itakura is going to fight him. We're going to get the fire and the ice. We're going to get some fireworks. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. Honestly, I think Maybe even Sojiro stepping in to fight Ashitaro. Because remember, Sojiro was the apprentice of Shishio. But in this manner, Ashitaro is now wielder of the Mugenjin, and he doesn't want him to fall into, the trauma that he did. So that's my prediction. I know it's a long one, but anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be doing a longer discussion about this, but yeah, I wanted to put that last prediction in there. But anyways, I don't know if it's going to be next chapter when the next chapter drops, or it's just going to be progression over a few chapters. But I do feel, sadly, the Jubugatsuna, their days are numbered, and we're going to get Berserk Ashitaro again. And this time, it's going to be very interesting. So that's my chapter. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.